When you think of video games that come from Japan, I'm sure there are a ton that come to mind. You've got the Mario games, pretty much anything from Nintendo. You've got Capcom. I think of just like a million turn-based RPGs. That's what sticks out to me. I think of Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Persona, Chrono Trigger. I mean, just a ton of very, very good games. Yeah, Japan absolutely dominates when it comes to video games. They're really good, I would say, at telling a story with video games. The stories behind their games are truly some of the best that I have ever played. You know, when you think about Japan and video games, you probably don't think about first-person shooters. And just to check if there was a first-person shooter series or game from Japan that I'm just like completely blanking on, I did do a quick Google search and there are two main ones that do come up. Metroid is one, that's Nintendo, and then there is Resident Evil, specifically 7. Those games are made by Capcom, and that one specifically is a first-person shooter. So that and Metroid, I'm sure, are, critically acclaimed games. But besides that, yeah, what really is there? Well, you see, there is actually a third one that actually just blew up in popularity. It came out in January of this year. And the thing is, the lone developer of that game actually just came out with kind of a statement, or just kind of something that they said, where they gave some insight on why Japanese first-person shooters are not great. They never really succeed. And it's kind of interesting because this is coming from a developer who actually did succeed with a Japanese FPS. So I guess if you're going to believe anybody, believe this person. So this is an indie developer. I believe it's just one person, and they don't have their identity revealed or anything like that. So they go by Doe Kuramori. And the huge hit game that I am talking about is a game called Beyond Citadel. Now, I have looked this up quite a bit. This is kind of like the Steam preview of it. I have actually added it to my wish list. Not at all a sponsor or anything like that. I think it looks really cool. I mean, here are the screenshots to look at. And when I look up videos on this game too, if I would say that I got like a vibe from this game, it would maybe be a modern day Doom vibe. But all of that being said, it really just seems to be its own game. It looks very cool. It's kind of an anime art style, but it's a first-person shooter. The thing I'm getting at is that it has its own identity, and that is kind of the thing that Doe Kuramori is saying, and basically, this is why a lot of Japanese FPS games have not succeeded in the past, because they do not have their own identity, or at least according to this developer. So this was a huge thread on X, and this basically started it off. This was about a week and a half ago, and this is all translated, by the way, from Japanese, so it might sound a little bit off, just keep that in mind. So essentially, I'll kind of paraphrase it. It says the reason why the domestically produced FPS games that are AAA games have not stood out, and this is referring to games made in Japan, is that they often are trying to emulate Call of Duty, which is of course a huge hit series. However, to create a Call of Duty-like game, the Japanese people overwhelmingly lacked military knowledge. To put it bluntly, the Japanese did not have the specific talent to make Call of Duty, and they failed by trying to compete in an arena where they were inherently disadvantaged. Now, that was the first of this 10-post thread. I'll just kind of post the screenshots here to show you. If you want to pause and read it, you can. But essentially, yes, Doe Kuramori makes several points on why these FPS games from Japan do not succeed. Mainly that they are trying to copy Call of Duty, and that the developers don't have this sort of military knowledge that maybe COD developers have gotten over time. And that overall, these Japanese FPS games, if they do want to make an FPS game, they have to still stick with what they know and what they are good at. They have to develop their own identity. They can't just make a copy and paste of a Call of Duty game when you can just play Call of Duty. Nobody's going to want that. They make the point that Japanese games have succeeded in the past because of their gameplay and their storytelling. Games that are gigantically successful, like Persona 5. They didn't say Persona 5, that's just kind of what comes to my mind. All of those games, they're not trying to copy off of anything. They have their own identity. And Japanese FPS games can do the same thing. They just have to not copy and instead focus on, like I said, what they are good at. And obviously, this person is speaking very much from experience because, as I said, Beyond Citadel looks really awesome and really unique. Just a side note, I do think that it is kind of funny that this developer is saying that, the war style of Call of Duty, the trench warfare style, that's all stuff that like Japan can't mimic, and the whole time I'm just thinking about how Call of Duty is today in 2025. Yeah, all respect to this developer, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if Doei Kiramori knows what Call of Duty today looks like. I swear to God, this is a screenshot from Call of Duty. I'm not kidding. Yes, that's Beavis and Butthead. I don't know what happened to that series. I really don't. But the point is, as with anything in life, games succeed when people are not trying to copy off of something else, and instead when they are sticking with their strengths and developing their own identity. That is what this developer is saying. Like I said, they're speaking from experience, so hopefully other games and other Japanese developers can learn from this and create their own identity within their new games.